Hello everyone, and welcome to Classy Whale. Now, the other day I was wondering, what would Classy Whale have been like about 100 years ago, when trolleys still ran in Lancaster County? Well, it turns out that travel narratives, like the sorts of things I make, are not new things. Herodotus did them back in ancient Greece, and a few decades ago, if you wanted to watch videos about traveling America by train instead of watching YouTube, you'd watch VHS tapes like this one that I pulled out of my closet. But in between those two, there were plenty of writers who would write for local magazines about different journeys that one could take. In the Pennsylvania German, from August to December of 1909, an author published a series of travelogues across Lancaster County using the Conestoga Traction Company routes. This was called Seeing Lancaster County from a Trolley Window. And today, I thought it would be fun to recreate one of those journeys with the Red Rose Transportation Authority. Everything you hear after this segment is the narrative of the original Seeing Lancaster County from a Trolley Window, which is now in the public domain. Some of the text has been abridged for the sake of brevity, and there may be some incongruencies between what you hear and what you see. But overall, I think it still holds up. This is what Classy Whale would have been like 100 years ago. Introductory note. The desire to acquire some knowledge of the history, present activities, and natural scenery of Lancaster County induced the author to prepare these sketches for the Pennsylvania German. The story was woven around the trolley lines, because these afford one of the most convenient and most economical modes of travel for the sightseer. The author hopes the perusal of these pages may afford the reader as much pleasure as their preparation did the writer, and that a wider knowledge of the county, a deeper love for history, and higher life aspirations may thereby be promoted. The author. A trip to Marietta. Starting on our trip to Marietta, we thread our way along Queen, Chestnut, and Charlotte streets, past graveyard, school buildings, churches, stately mansions crowding humble one-story cottages, the old and new in close quarters, until we strike the old Columbia Pike completed over a century ago. As we hasten southwestward, we leave on our left velvety lawns studded with stately native forest trees, hiding lovely homes, and soon pass the old mill in the hollow at Abbeville and West Lancaster, reminding one of hustling prairie cities. Should we fall into reverie, the toot of the automobile and the yells of the trolley excursionists would probably awaken us. In imagination, we can see the historic immigrants moving westward and hear the strongly built Conestoga freight wagons grinding their slow way along. But these, too, are things of the past. Before we are aware of the progress we are making, we cross a railroad bridge and find ourselves in Mountville, lovely for situation. A borough a mile long, casting 250 votes, and interested in a skill mill, a cigar factory, and a plow works. But we must hasten on and leave the charming town with its peace and quiet and historic atmosphere. We are soon beyond the borough limits, and we have been passing along or through Manor and the 2 hemp fields, a rich section and in parts so thickly settled that it has been called a continuous village. Columbia, occupying the site of the Indian town Shawana, was settled by the Quakers in 1726, laid out by Samuel Wright in 1827, and sold in lots by lottery. It was the one terminus of, and known as, Wright's Ferry, dating back to 1730, and as such a very important place for emigrants moving south and west, well known even in England, and spoken of in official papers of the Crown. It was no unusual thing to see from 150 to 200 vehicles of all kinds waiting at the ferry house for their turn to be ferried across. The place was also very important as the terminus of the railroad, built to intercept the river traffic. The town was at one time so near the center of population of the United States that in 1789, it was taken into serious consideration as a possible place for the seat of the national government. The inhabitants of the town were greatly surprised June 11, 1825, to see the arrival of a steamboat attempting to navigate the Susquehanna. The boat was warped over the most dangerous places and went up as far as Wilkes Barre, where it was destroyed by the explosion of the boiler. One of the earliest efforts in the state to supply the inhabitants of an incorporated town with spring water, conveyed in pipes underground, was made here in 1821. We must not fail to take a look at the Blunston House on Mount Bethel, part of which was built in 1728, where Washington was once a guest, an unfounded story, and the Wright House, built between 1740 and 1750, owned at one time by Susanna, daughter of John Wright, the founder, a remarkable woman, educated in England, artist, poet, legal and medical advisor, a spinner of silk that was woven into dress goods and exhibited in England. Columbia has seen enterprises like the river and canal commerce, the iron manufacturing industry, the railroad traffic, take root, thrive, and decay. But Phoenix-like lives, grows and hopes, and who shall say it has passed its golden age? Taking a car for Marietta, we soon leave behind the ruins of the past, The noise and smoke of present iron industries and worm our tortuous pathway through forest primeval and dreamy dell to the top of historic Chickies Rock, 300 feet above the bed of the stream. Standing here, one sees the Susquehanna snaking along its ancient rocky pathway, heavy freight trains creeping lazily by on the old canal bed, fringing the river. Columbia to the left, Marietta to the right, round top across the river gap in front, and imagination involuntarily tries to conceive the length of time since the river began its ceaseless task of grinding and crushing its way through 300 feet of solid rock. Chickies has given sermons to preachers, dreams to poets, illusions to lovelorn lads and lasses, sport to the thoughtless youth, a hiding place to the lawless, daily bread to the toiler, a shelter, a school, an inspiration to Dr. S.S. Haldeman, who has won a deathless international fame for himself. But we must hurry to catch our car to take us down a winding course to the valley, past ruins of half a dozen blast furnaces, and into the heart of old Marietta, strung mainly along the old turnpike. Marietta, originally known as Anderson's Ferry, and a business rival to Wright's Ferry, was established in 1733. It is composed of two towns, New Haven, founded in 1805, and Waterford, laid out in 1806. It was chartered in 1812, and received its name Marietta, a compound name from the Christian names of Mrs. Anderson and Mrs. Cook, the wives of the founders. Marietta, in its infancy, experienced a boom, which is thus referred to by a local historian. Columbia had the start of Marietta by 18 years, but the latter sprang into existence as if by magic. The place grew too fast. A large class of disreputable persons followed the stream of speculators who overflowed the place, and like birds of prey lived off the earnings of others. When the final crash came, but few were able to weather the storm. As one walks along, the question comes up, is the town's golden age in the past or the future? Do you wish you could ride a historic trolley like the author of this narrative did? Have you ever dreamed of driving one? Well, for $25, you can do both. On March 26th, the Friends of the Philadelphia Trolleys are hosting a special event at the Baltimore Streetcar Museum, where, with a $25 donation, you can ride, photograph, and even learn to operate historic streetcars. I'll be there, and I hope some of you can make it as well. More information can be found in the description. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and take care until the next one.